January 2nd, 1999, 2 p.m., Union Station, downtown Toronto. Transit supervisor Michael Chen watches through frosted windows as the third GO train in an hour dies 200 meters from the platform. 40 centimeters of snow have fallen since dawn. The switches are frozen. Hundreds of commuters sit trapped in unheated cars, breath fogging the windows, while thousands more pack the concourse behind him, waiting for trains that won't arrive. He picks up the phone. There's nothing left to say that hasn't already been said. This is how it begins. The storm rolls up from the American Midwest on New Year's weekend. Chicago
gets hammered first.
55 centimeters in a single day, the second worst blizzard of their century. Detroit Metro Airport becomes a prison for thousands of Northwest Airlines passengers. Some will spend 8.5 hours on planes mere feet from their gates. The airline will eventually pay $7 million in compensation, but Chicago knows snow. Detroit understands winter. They have the equipment, the procedures, the muscle memory built over generations of lake-effect brutality. Toronto does not. The city has grown soft. Through the 70s, Toronto averaged 150 centimeters of snow each winter. Time equals 450 milliseconds / By the 90s, that's dropped to 120. The entire month of December passes without a single flake. Torontonians walk to work in light jackets on Christmas Eve. Then, January 2nd arrives. 47 centimeters in 24 hours. The snow comes fast and wet and heavy, driven by winds that turn Yonge Street into a white tunnel. The bright lights of Canada's largest city disappear into the blowing chaos. Traffic snarls. Buses abandon their routes. The mass exodus from downtown offices begins at 2 p.m., 3 hours early, but it's already too late. The city's 800 snow removal vehicles deploy. 5 snowmelters rumble through the streets. Over 1,800 workers are called in for weekend shifts. They attack the problem with everything Toronto has. It isn't enough. By Sunday evening, the city has burned through a quarter of its annual snow removal budget. The streets are nominally passable. People dig out their driveways. There's a sense that the worst has passed. The following weekend, another system moves through, 10 to 15 centimeters, not catastrophic by itself, but the first storm's remnants still clog the side streets. Snowbanks already tower above car roofs. This new burden finds nowhere to go. Infrastructure starts to crack. GO Transit's commuter trains, the arteries that pump hundreds of thousands of workers in and out of downtown each day, begin to fail. Not all at once, not dramatically. They simply stop moving. Switches freeze at Union Station, trains back up along the tracks. Passengers sit in the cold, watching their destination through the windows, unreachable. Then more snow falls, and more. Day after day, storm after storm, the white keeps coming. By January 12th, 10 days into the new year, Toronto has accumulated 105 centimeters of snow. Mayor Mel Lastman watches the city strain. He's 65 years old, a former furniture salesman who built the bad boy chain before turning to politics. 25 years as mayor of North York, 1 year into running the newly amalgamated Toronto. He's known for his promotional stunts, his enthusiasm, his willingness to say exactly what he's thinking. Right now, he's thinking the city is drowning. January 13th. The forecasts show another major system approaching. Environment Canada meteorologists track it carefully. This could push January 1999 into the record books. The snowiest month in 2 centuries. Lastman makes calls. To his staff. To other mayors who've dealt with disasters. To his wife Marilyn, who's watched him pace the house for 12 days straight. She tells him something simple. Call in the army. The idea seems absurd. Military intervention for snow. In Toronto, Canada's largest city, its financial capital, its beacon of cosmopolitan sophistication. The city that considers itself New York's northern cousin. But the alternative is worse. The streets are impassable. Emergency vehicles can't reach fires. Catch basins are buried. When the inevitable thaw arrives, flooding could be catastrophic. Thousands remain stranded. The city is paralyzed. On January 13th, Lastman phones Art Eggleton, the federal defense minister. Eggleton himself served as Toronto's mayor before entering federal politics. He understands. The military begins to mobilize. January 14th, another blizzard slams into southern Ontario. CBC's The National opens that evening with stark simplicity. Tonight, the army moves in. Another blizzard hits southern Ontario, and Toronto just can't cope. Adrienne Arsenault reports from downtown. The city is snowed in, she tells viewers. What's happening here may be tame for other Canadians, but this city is truly overwhelmed. 35 centimeters fall. The total reaches 140 centimeters for the month. Environment Canada officially designates it the snowstorm of the century for Toronto. 400 soldiers arrive from Petawawa, Ontario. 300 local reservists mobilize. They deploy with shovels, not weapons. Bison armored personnel carriers rumble through downtown intersections, clearing paths. Troops fan out to shovel bus shelters, uncover fire hydrants, chip away at the frozen catch basins that could flood the city when temperatures rise. Lastman tours the Downsview military base. Photos capture him riding in a Bison APC, grinning despite the chaos. He's trying to boost morale to show Toronto hasn't given up. The rest of Canada sees something different. The cartoons appear within hours. Montreal's Aislinn draws Torontonians as wimps. Radio stations from Vancouver to Halifax invite listeners to call in and laugh at high and mighty Toronto's humiliation. A city that lectures the nation about sophistication and progress can't handle what Winnipeg considers a light dusting. I've seen worse in Montreal. Time equals 300 milliseconds greater than one driver, tells reporters. I can't believe this city can't get it together. Another man connects it to the approaching millennium crisis. This might be an interesting kind of precursor to Y2K. If we can't survive this, what's going to happen when everything really breaks down? The criticism isn't entirely unfair. The Canadian military has deployed for floods, ice storms, and forest fires across the country. This is different. This is snow, the most predictable aspect of Canadian winter. And Toronto, southern, soft, unprepared Toronto, needed the army to shovel. Sidewalks. The images burn into the national consciousness. Soldiers in combat fatigues operating snowblowers. Armored vehicles blocking off intersections for snow removal. Lastman himself riding through his besieged city in military equipment. It becomes the defining image of his tenure as mayor. 20 years later, in 2019, Lastman will tell reporters it still follows him. I was in a taxi the other day. The taxi driver says, "I came the year you brought in the army." It was really funny. It happens to me all the time now. By January 15th, the weather breaks. Lastman announces the worst is over. He declares he's not prepared to declare an emergency because everything is well under control. The soldiers continue their work. With flooding no longer a concern, they focus on clearing streets, moving snow out of the city entirely. Lastman had issued a call for truck drivers and construction companies to assist. Help arrives from as far as Prince Edward Island. The island province, recipient of Toronto's tourism dollars and often overlooked by central Canada, enjoys the reversal immensely. The final bill for January's snow removal, $70 million, more than double Toronto's budget for the entire year. The military withdraws. Lastman thanks them with free tickets to a Maple Leafs game. The streets slowly reopen. GO Transit limps back to normal service. Life resumes. But something has shifted. What Toronto experienced in January 1999 wasn't just bad luck. Meteorologists studying the storm patterns note the intensity, the rapid succession, the unusual severity for the region. Climate scientists running predictive models project that by 2040, extreme low-pressure systems, the barometric engines driving the most devastating storms, could increase by more than 20% in central Canada. Precipitation.
Events will become dramatically heavier.
The kind of week that broke Toronto in 1999 will stop being exceptional. It will become routine. The 1999 blizzard sits within a larger pattern. The previous year brought the ice storm that devastated Quebec and eastern Ontario, cutting power to 3 million people and killing more than 25. China's Yangtze River floods displaced millions. The planet's weather is becoming more extreme. Toronto, accustomed to moderation, finds itself unprepared for the new reality. 27 years later, when another massive snowstorm dumps 56 centimeters on Toronto in a single day, breaking the single-day record that stood
Since 1966,
the comparisons are immediate. The jokes resurface. The photos of soldiers in Bison APCs circulate again on social media. But this time, there's no call to the military. Toronto has learned. Equipment has improved. Snow storage capacity has increased. The city that once relied on soldiers to shovel sidewalks now manages twice the single-day snowfall without military intervention. The ridicule of 1999 served a purpose. It forced Toronto to confront its vulnerabilities, to invest in infrastructure, to accept that Canada's largest city is still ultimately Canadian. Winter will always come.
time equals 550 milliseconds /
The only question is whether you're ready. Mel Lastman defended his decision until his death in 2021. It wasn't me who came up with it, he admitted. It was my wife. When I told her what the heck was going on, she said, "Call in the army." I would have been kicking myself in the arse if I hadn't. He was right. The alternative, emergency services paralyzed, flooding devastating thousands of homes, potential deaths from the cold or inability to reach hospitals, would have been catastrophic. The mockery was survivable. The disaster he prevented was not. The week that broke Toronto taught the city something essential. Pride is expensive. Preparation is cheaper. And sometimes the smartest thing a leader can do is admit they need help, regardless of how it looks. The snow always melts eventually. The lessons remain.